Hi everyone! So I know it's been a while since I've made a video, I'm well aware. However, I will say sorry by having better lighting in my videos. So this is a new setup that I'm trying out. I will say it's probably significantly better lighting wise than having no lighting, so hopefully you guys agree. And I also have a camera instead of using my laptop, so hopefully this will be better quality than it usually is. But today I wanted to review the Nars Velvet Matte Stick Foundation. So this retails for $45 and you get 0.31 ounces. So I can show you what that looks like. I've only used this a handful of times, so I haven't used much, but you can basically get an idea of how much foundation you get. I'm not gonna lie, this is my first problem with this stick foundation, is that you get so little foundation. I think if you use this every day, this would not last you very long. So first off, $45 for this much foundation, already kind of a thumbs down for me. But the good news is that it actually does perform very well. So I was basically going to show you guys what the coverage looks like and kind of how the finish is. It does call itself a matte foundation. I personally found it was more satin than matte, and I also found that if I didn't use any primer, it would actually start to break up around my oily areas, so I definitely recommend using primer. I have combination skin, so unfortunately for me, even though this isn't fully matte, I found it started to get a little dry around my cheek area, and then but my oily area, like I said, started to break up a little bit. So what I would recommend doing, which is what I do with this foundation if I'm going to use it all over my face, is to use two different primers. So for me, I actually use Becca's First Light primer on my cheeks, and then I use Makeup Forever's mattifying base primer in my T-zone. So we'll start off by doing that. I find that it actually makes the foundation go on better for me for those varying types of skin tones, skin types. So let's just start off by doing the T-zone first. As I mentioned, this is Makeup Forever Step 1 Mattifying Primer. So if you've never used this before, it's basically a very thick primer. It looks like this. And basically the idea is that you want to try and get it on pretty quickly. Otherwise it starts to ball up because it's already starting to kind of like mattify your skin. So you don't want to work it in too much. Obviously you want to make sure it's like in there, but you don't want to keep messing with it once it starts to feel tacky, because it will start to ball up on your face. So we've done the T-zone. Now we're going to take the Becca First Light primer and I'm going to put that on my cheeks. As I said, basically just to make sure that my cheeks don't get super dry with this mattifying foundation stick. So we'll get that in there and we'll move on to the foundation. So what I like to do is put it straight on my face, to be honest. So I'm going to grab my mirror here. And I'm just going to get in there. Oh, I forgot to mention, the other side of this foundation does come with a sponge. It's kind of what it looks like. It does come out too. So you can wash it if you want, but I actually found, and you can see here that I tried it out, I found that this sponge is pretty much trash. I don't even know why they included it on this. I will probably never use it. I'm sure it's more for people on the go, like if someone's using this foundation as more of a touch-up throughout the day, I could understand this being convenient, and I would also understand why the amount included is so small, but if this is for everyday use, then it's kind of a bummer. So let's go ahead and start to get this on. I'm actually going to get this on and then blend it with a beauty blender. I've got my little black one here. So let's just start off. I like to do lines across where I'm going to be putting everything on, and down the nose and the sides of the nose, and obviously the forehead. Basically what I do here then is I start blending. Once I start blending, I can see where I need to get a little bit more coverage. So this foundation is touted to be medium coverage. I would say that when it goes on thick, as you can see. But once you start to blend it out, it starts to sheer out a little bit. They say it's buildable. I haven't tried that. I don't really like how cakey it starts to feel when you put on too much. So let's start to blend this in here. And you can see that it's evening out my skin tone. But you can also see that it's not incredibly matte. If you look at my skin now, you can see that, I mean, there isn't a huge sheen, but it's not completely matte. So like I said, I feel like this is more of a satin finish foundation. So we'll blend, blend, blend. We might even speed this part up a little bit. So as you can see, the foundation has done a great job of evening out my skin tone, but it's not providing a lot of coverage, to be honest. So even at medium coverage, it's not really covering very well. So let's see. Like I said, I don't like piling this foundation on because it actually can feel very heavy. So I'm just going to go into some areas where I feel need a little bit more coverage, like around here, maybe the chin area. Definitely got some areas around my face and neck that kind of need that little bit of extra coverage there. So we're going to go ahead and blend that in, see how it goes. See if it starts to get too cakey or if it kind of just blends in nicely. So far, looking all right, but like I said, still not providing as full of coverage as I thought I would be able to get with this. Blend, blend, blend. All right, so we are definitely seeing a good amount of coverage, but not amazing. And like I said, this foundation does tend to feel kind of heavy. So even now, I wouldn't want to put more on. So what I'm going to try to do is, rather than swiping it and trying to blend it in, is actually trying to spot conceal with it and see how it kind of does. So I like to use a small lip brush to kind of just like really pinpoint where I feel like I need the extra coverage. This is a Real Techniques lip brush. And I'm just gonna go right into the stick foundation itself and try to get in there and kind of see how this does. All right. I feel like it's just starting to get kind of cakey as I'm trying to build it up a little bit in those areas where I feel like I need a little bit more coverage. So I definitely don't think this foundation is going to be a one and done thing for anyone, especially for people like me who have dark acne scars. You're still going to have to get in there with some kind of corrector and try to cover those up before you do your foundation. So one of the other things that I ended up trying out with this foundation is actually using it in my under eye area. For people who have dry under eye areas, I would not recommend this. This will be very drying for you. But for me, I found that if I did my little bit of correcting, like I typically do, for me, I actually like to use the Bare Minerals Stroke of Light concealer. I use Luminous 3. So I start off with this and blend that in, and then I actually go over it with the Nars stick foundation, and it works out pretty well for me. I found that it didn't really start to break up or get kind of cakey or weird under my eyes as long as I didn't overdo it. So we've done some correcting there, and then I'm gonna get the stick foundation and go over and then blend with my beauty blender again. And as you can see, it's not really making my under eye look crepey and dry, and I didn't find that it did that throughout the day either when I tried this out. So depending on your skin type, you might be able to use this as like a little bit of an under eye concealer post some color correction. So as you can see, my skin tone looks a little bit more even now. We kind of went in there to some of the regions that need more coverage. I mean, I think there's still some areas where I need it. And that's kind of my frustration with this stick foundation is I don't really know how to get it on and blend it without rubbing it away from certain areas. So I will say that I would recommend this foundation way more for on the go, doing some touch-ups. Honestly, like, I don't really think that it's actually great for everyday all over foundation wear. Like I said, I tried it out that way without a primer, started to break up in the oily areas and started to get really dry in the cheek areas, and then with primers it did last throughout the day. However, I didn't find that it provided the amount of coverage that I really would look for in something that feels so thick on your face, and I didn't really like the thick sort of mask feeling. I will say that color wise, I was able to purchase Stromboli or medium 3, which is my color in all Nars foundations. So thankfully they did a great job of keeping everything sort of true to color. So if you already know your Nars foundation shade in another type of foundation, then you can actually use that to choose your color for the foundation stick. So you've got to agree that that's always great when brands think about that across foundation colors. Sometimes you're stuck wondering, what color am I? I can't tell online, and I'm really hoping that whoever is matching me to a shade in the store knows what they're doing. So it's always appreciated when you can know for sure that this is going to be your color. So as I said, I would recommend this if you need something for on the go. I think it's great for on the go. I think that if you're just doing some spot coverage, you know, some touch-ups throughout the day, then the price and the quality of it will actually work out for you. But if you're looking for something to use every day, I don't think this is the foundation for you. I frankly don't think it lives up to its claims of being buildable medium coverage. You know, if I try to build it up on my skin, it kind of starts to get a little cakey. So, you know, that could just be my skin type, but those are my 2 cents. So if you were looking at the Nars foundation stick, hopefully I was able to give you a good enough review to make a decision, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.